Yo, I'm Ref Shiny Shoes or Kody Manhorn, depending on the day. I'm drinking at Moe's.
All right, everybody, taking time out before we get this show started. I want to thank Reaper Apparel for having Drinkin be a brand ambassador for their clothing line. They got good stuff. They got t-shirts, they got hoodies, they got beanies, they got lots of great stuff, encouraging everybody to break out of their comfort zone, live their best self, and hey, it's something I try to live every day. Now, be sure when you go and you're filling out your order, use the code Drinkin at Moe's, get 10% off, and the link and the code will both be in the description. Let's fucking
All
go.
right, everybody, welcome Drinkin' Moe's. Big Mo here. You know the drill. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, hit the damn bell, because that YouTube algorithm is a pain in the ass. Most places you can find audio podcasts do, so don't forget about those. No matter how you catch the show, I don't care as long as you're catching it. Let's fucking go. Today, I'm excited to have with me, I've had some pretty well-known referees on. Today, I got another one. Ref Shiny Shoes. How you doing?
Dude, I'm tired. I've been working all day, working the shoot job.
My shoot job, yeah. No, that today was one of those myself.
I get that.
And I got to drive an hour to get to work, so it's like just about an hour. So it's like,
thankfully, my work is right here. I work from home, so same spot I've been all day.
Man, I wish I could say that. Who knows? Maybe someday. Anyways, first thing I like to start off with each guest is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you making that leap into the business.
All right, as a fan, actually, so I've wrestled since like amateur style since I was 7 years old, and I was a pretty awkward child growing up, so I was willing to do whatever it took to kind of make some friends. And though I found out apparently my wrestling team was the weird one, everyone loved pro wrestling on the team. So I just kind of went over to a buddy's house and we watched the Royal Rumble 2008. And I watched Jeff Hardy do the Swanton from the Heavens. I said, I don't know what's happening, but I'm sold. So eventually that same year, Jeff will go on to win the title in Buffalo, which is where I'm originally from. So I'm like, this guy's my dude. Love him forever now. So that got me hooked into like pro wrestling. As far as what made me do like the jump to try to get into it, goes back to amateur wrestling. My high school wrestling coach, I hadn't talked to him for a few years. I joined the Marine Corps, started doing that stuff, and then all of a sudden he reached out to me. He's like, "Hey man, if you're in town, I've actually started doing pro wrestling, and I have a show going on this weekend." So I went and showed up, and eventually I started falling in love with independent wrestling, and so on and so forth. Found a trainer, got trained.
You know what? Coincidentally enough, you bring up the Marines. I'm a Navy vet myself.
I'm sorry.
my friend that hosts my 2 cents stuff with me, his girlfriend's a Marine, and the first time that I met her, she said the same damn thing. But I was
welcome to the Marine Corps. We have like 5 jokes. After that, it's ran out.
Record. Oh God, I constantly, every time she's given me and my friends shit when we're recording, I just yell, "Oh, go find a box of crayons."
Don't tempt me. I might leave.
But it was actually down in San Diego where I got stationed, where I got my start watching independent wrestling.
Nice.
And good Lord, if I got some Marine stories down there.
Oh, I'm sure. That's a recruiting depot.
Oh God. Like one time getting to the USO, it's right, like you have to go outside, and it's like
on
the curb there. Man, they had people lined up on the curb, somebody like this far in front of their faces screaming at them, and they hadn't even left the airport. And I'm just like, glad I chose Navy.
That sounds like Tuesday.
I was gonna say that, but that kind of leads me into one thing I was wanting to ask next, and this was before I guess I realized the whole military connection here. Keeping the shoes shiny. Being a military veteran, we know like the old fashioned way of how to do it. But curiosity. There is also the trick that I know people when I was still in used, where if they had to wear their dress uniform, there would be one pair of shoes for like regular wearing of it, and then there'd be an inspection pair where it was they just already looked shiny, and you just
Yeah.
kept them in the damn box.
So I'm gonna kind of reveal my age. I'm from a newer generation of the Marine Corps. We have these really cool things called core frames. Um,
That yeah, I was
and
I was in
they come shined. They have a coating over them, and that is because I'm retired status. I still have access to the PX. So that is where my shiny shoes come from. I just have them shipped to my house. I do have two pairs in like a similar vein. So one is when I do regular reffing match, regular normal wrestling. And then I'll wear one pair that's kind of torn to crap. 1,000 tacks on the bottom for death matches. The real
gotcha.
trick is I'll end up selling those deathmatch shoes later to buy a new pair, and then I'll just take the old wrestling ones. All right, these are the deathmatch.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was only in from '08 through 12, so I mean, like, I still those when you brought up that when you brought up that term for the shoes, I'm like, yep. Oh, I'm fully aware of those.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
those were the standard issue when I went in 2014.
yeah. Yeah, you got in right shortly after I got out.
Yeah,
Although, funny thing, shortly after I got out, the WWE, when they actually would travel out to bases and do the tribute to the troop show,
yep,
you remember the one in San Diego where they were right out, like right on the pier,
yeah, I
and
do.
there was that ship in the background?
Yeah.
That was my ship.
I was so waiting for that line. I'm like, he's gonna say it's his ship.
It was. It was. And like I had friends still stationed on it at the time, and I'm like, those bastards never did anything cool like that when I was there.
Yeah, no, there was. I would always love when they would tell you at like your job scope, like, oh, all these cool things come to. For me, it was Jacksonville, North Carolina, worst place in the world. If you live there, I'm sorry. But they would say, oh yeah, all these cool things come through. Not one. I was there for 6 months, and I'm like, this is just boring. It sucks. It's cold. It's wet.
That's why I was glad I got San Diego, because my favorite baseball team was already there.
Uh,
My, I think the entire time I was there, it rained, and when I say rained, I mean like I'm from the Midwest.
no.
I'm talking about rain here. It rained like that once. Every other time was like a light sprinkle. But yeah,
Yeah,
now,
no.
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say no. North Carolina's is wet. It's year round. We're in a swamp, guys.
Yeah, yeah. Now, you have been quite the busy man when it comes to, just the past couple of weeks, ever since, well, really, Mania. I remember watching, I think, good Lord, I think it was the Deathmatch Summit show.
Yeah, yeah. The Mania before. Well, Deathmatch Summit was this year. Yep.
And I was like, holy moly, you had your hands full.
That show specifically, yes. because Tommy and Malcolm had came up to me earlier that day and were like, "Hey, do you think you can do the their little tag cutter deal?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can definitely do it." In the moment, Tommy had gotten concussed during that match. I think he had posted something about he kind of got messed up a little bit. One chair just kind of turned weird, but so he's supposed to like push my backside so that I can get over to Atticus. He does not do that. So I have to like jump halfway across, try to get to him. I end up snapping my other pair of glasses that I have during this.
Oh no.
Um, then the second match I had on that show, as I'm going to check on Mo and Clint, a pair of barbed wire gets stuck in my hair. And I had
Oh,
it tied back, so I'm like, that was an eventful night for me. And then obviously the ending sequence with Tremont.
no, God, yeah. It is still on my bucket list to have him on.
Oh, I love that man.
Oh, same. I got nothing but respect for him. I've chatted with him about coming on, but with the schedule he keeps with everything that he's doing,
Yeah.
it might be a while. I mean, hell, it took me damn near a year to get John Wayne Murdoch on. So, I mean, I'm persistent if I need to be.
Yeah, I get lucky when it comes a lot to Maddie. So they're who I stay with when I do stay in Jersey. I just kind of during uncharted territory when I lived there for 2 months, I was living with them. Um, but he's very closely became one of my closest friends in the world. I'm not gonna spoil too much because he might have a certain little GoPro right now for IWTV, but um, he it was special to get to do a little bit of a program with him for ICW, especially on the way out the door.
Oh, yeah. No, that, and, I was hearing stuff about ICW. It's like, it's looking like they're on their last shows.
So what Danny he came out with a tweet a while back saying, "Hey, this is the final countdown before the last Boston show." Because I remember because I was literally getting on the plane to go over the England when I saw it, and I had to tell myself like, "Hey, this is not a thing I want to deal with right now. Let's go through this tour." So during the Boston show and then again in Chattanooga, he's reiterated this isn't the doors are shutting. The wheels have not fallen off. We just have to take the car in for some maintenance. It's been a very emotional year for us. And I think a lot of us just have to kind of get our heads straight. I know physically, from Ironmaning a lot of these shows, my lungs of all things need the break from having to not breathe in some spooky dust.
Oh,
Because that's what
yeah.
happened the last time we talked about trying to get me on was just from the amount that I had breathed in, my allergies had flared up because the weather change. I couldn't breathe.
Oh,
Um,
good Lord. I'm still like, I understand the whole allergy thing because, good Lord, I I had them right around that same time. I was just starting to get over it, but like, I don't know about you, but one of the lasting things I usually have is like a little bit of a cough that likes to linger around for a
yeah,
while.
you'll probably hear that throughout. It's just this one little bit of phlegm is just like stuck in my throat. I'm like, please, just come on out.
Oh, yeah, no, I am in that same boat. Now, mentioned, you know, Matt Tremont in the H2O Center. That's where, like, good Lord, Mania week, literally Monday through Sunday, every single day, there was at least one show there. And
Yeah,
me with the podcast, I think I had just passed 300 subscribers on YouTube. So I was like, you know what? I was already planning on something extra. So you know what? 300, words are hard. 300 subscribers every single day, Sunday through Sunday, there's going to be something. And so, yeah, that was something I don't know if I'll do again
same.
because that was wow. But
Yeah,
hey,
so
I said I'd do it, and I'm not one to say I'm going to do something and then back out of it.
oh, I get it. When I started like posting my schedule, there was a little bit of a sense of pride because like every other mania I had like proper mania. Obviously we did the deathmatch mania the year prior in New Jersey while everyone else was in LA. But like proper Mania weekend experiences, I had always, I had one or two bookings. I was there just to kind of help out. And in some capacity, this past Mania, over the 7 days from Monday through Sunday, like you had said, I had done something on 11 different shows.
Wow.
Then when you count in the fact that I want to say that Saturday I was out Loud East wrestling at the Mecca. So I mean, you're talking about 12 shows in 9 days.
That is insane. That
Yeah.
is absolutely insane. But hey,
Oh, on top
if
of
you're,
living with the person that's running the building that you just mentioned. So obviously there's some stress that goes into hosting something like that.
oh God, I can only imagine like literally every day at the building, taking care of whatever. And
Yep.
yeah. And that building, it's definitely like hell. I've lost count of how many people from H2O I've had on. I joked about this when I recorded last night that I swear it felt like at least 1 or 2 months that pretty much each of the interview podcasts I released was all H2O people. But
I
hey,
mean, the current state of Eastern independent wrestling, it's hard not to be an H2O person in some capacity.
I know, right? But man, H2O, everybody there has been nothing but great to me, so I've got nothing but great things to say about them. But to actually go witness a show in person, that's definitely on my list to do there because you see places like the H2O Center or the TW Chattanooga. That's another place that like, especially those pit fighter shows. I'm like, oh my God, I just want to be there for that.
Oh, it's an experience. Just being inside the TWE building in itself, which I guess I got to give a shout out if you mentioned both of them. October, we do have H2O versus TWE coming up. So that's going to be a
Yes.
really fun time.
Oh
Um,
man, that is going to be epic. Because yes,
yeah,
I did see the advertisement. I believe I actually got tagged in the thing on Instagram for that. So obviously, I'm going to share the shit out of that
yeah. Oh, I'm
because
very excited. To have the H2O versus TWE show, just have some of the H2O kids on the TWE Nightmare before on Dayton Boulevard is one of our biggest shows of the year. So having them, probably Austin Luke. I'm a very big Austin Luke fan. That's my
oh,
dude.
totally.
Um, and then obviously having Matt Tremont's deathmatch tournament in another state on the road, on
Oh
a
yeah.
Halloween weekend. It's gonna be sick.
Oh, death, especially Matt Tremont's tournament, which is quickly becoming like one of the premier ones
Yeah.
in all the deathmatch tournaments. Having that along with the aura of the TWE Center and like I said, those pit fighter shows, like good grief. Like I remember hell, just this last Friday, and correct me if I'm wrong because there's been a few shows in between when I talked to him, but he was one of the current uh tag champs, Jameson and Shook.
Yep, he is still.
Just
Oh, not
just
for long. We're wrestling him next week.
had just actually released his episode as of this recording this last Friday.
Yeah. Jameson Shook was there. JMO's been a real big help. I love JMO beyond just as a wrestler, as a person. I have like a rule of thumb which I call the right way, and that's just going out there doing the thing, willing to eat shit. I feel a lot of people in the business aren't willing to do that anymore, and I can go on a tangent about that. But JMO is definitely one of the ones who like accepts the embrace the suck. Um,
I got a T-shirt from um damn it, I'm forgetting the name, but it literally uh embraced the suck right
Hey, there's
across.
a bar here where I spent last Marine Corps birthday here in Knoxville, and they let us like name a beer because they brew everything in house, and we named it Embrace the Suck. So we were drinking that all night.
Oh my God, that would be. Oh man,
It's
that actually that just reminded me. I was talking with somebody about Stone Cold's beer and thinking, man, if you knew that man putting his name behind a beer, it was going to be fucking good. And then that just got me thinking, damn it, I would love to get my show behind a beer. Like just some, like, I don't know what I would name it right now, but oh my God, talk about a dream to have a beer after the show.
As someone whose favorite drinks involve anything with an alcoholic beverage content, yeah, that's definitely a goal. So one day there'll be a Shiny Shoes beer. Um, but yeah, you mentioned Pit Fighter, and I just wanted to say, like, I don't know, did you see the last one?
You know what? I don't think I did because I've
I
been outside of the podcast that I'm already busy enough with. I've been quite busy the last couple of
yeah,
weekends.
I gotcha. So Chattanooga, we ended up having to use a different cage than the one we've had before.
I've seen footage of it.
Yes. So the fun story to that is it's me and Jameson. He's wrestled inside this cage and seen it before at the other show. I had not. And he starts telling me about it, and I was like, hold up. So it comes in sections as opposed to like full walls. It has like three side sections that make up a wall. And I'm like, so can I make an octagon? And we end up having a pit fighter inside an actual octagon, which I don't think has been done since three or four. One of the early ones had an octagon originally. I remember because Dan Moff wrestled Schlack, and that's just a
Oh
nuts match.
God,
But
man, just
yeah,
those two names in a pit fire show. Oh God.
they just let two massive motherfuckers beat the hell out of each other.
Oh God. Yeah, that talk about a brutal hoss fight.
Yes. There's a point where I feel like Hoss is an understatement, and it's those two.
Though, yeah. I mean, I've been lucky enough to see a couple hoss fights live. Although my favorite one that I got to see in person was actually my first ever time I got to travel farther than Des Moines. And it was for Warrior Wrestling. They had a St. Louis stop. And I got to record a mini episode with one of these people, but the match was Jonah, aka Bronson Reed, versus Jeff Cobb. And my mini episode was with Bronson Reed, and like he's always been a favorite of mine, but the mere fact that once the crowd for the fan fest was let to go take their seats, he literally took time with me, like in between that and when he had to go put on his gear. Like he gave me a solid block of time. I'm like, you did not have to do that, but thank you. And man, I was so close, you could literally see the individual beads of sweat flying off with the chops. It was nuts.
I love it. Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
Usually, as a smaller wrestler, that's the only time where I really get into hoss fights is when they just start hitting each other. I'm like, all right, this is what I wanted the whole time. Stop picking each other up. I don't care. I get you're bigger than me.
But like I said, Jeff Cobb was the other one. I got to talk with him. I didn't get a episode recording, but I did get an autographed wrestling figure.
Hell yeah.
Right directly behind me. I actually have it in order of like, I got that one first and that one, like literally in order. So I can be organized if I want to be. Now, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, take it.
No, you're the guest. You sounded like
All
yes.
I was gonna say is I used to have a different setup because I had recently moved my office out of my bedroom and into this spare room that we have. But I usually have like all my pops lined up behind me, and then my one action figure I have is of my dear longtime close personal friend, the Atrocity Cruel. His new one that just
Man,
came out.
I saw his MLW one. I
Yeah.
want that one so bad.
Yeah. So Wade, actually, we were talking about it on the way there, and he was like, um, well, you gonna buy Logan or Cruel's figure? And I was like, I I might. I don't know, because I don't collect figures like that. It's never been my thing. I'm more of an anime when it comes to guy when it comes to collecting my pops and stuff. And then he comes up to me, he's like, hey, all the gas money I owe you from the airport runs here, and hands it to me. I'm like, I guess I'm not buying it. I'm just getting it.
Oh
It's the
yeah.
only figure in my entire collection now.
Oh yeah. I've got a few. I'm proud of some of the only ones I keep out of the box are my ones that people that have passed away. Like obviously if I find one that's autographed, I'm not gonna open it.
Right.
But all my other ones I try to keep in the box because yeah, I've got some like Head Shrinker Fatu. I'm back in July. I've got I got Funko Pop signed by the growing up. It was Pro Wrestling and Ninja Turtles for me. The same show that the same Comic Con that I met Rikishi at. I met the guy that voiced Michelangelo in the original
Oh, that's
Ninja Turtles.
sick.
And man, that was so. I got one signed by him, and right next to him was the guy behind Splinter from the first two movies.
Wild. Yo,
I
where are
got
these
one.
cool cards at? Why do I never get those?
Oh, there. You know what? The one it was just across the river from me. It went away for a couple of years, but they're starting to bring it back. But man, I've got some good ones. A couple months before everything happened with Jason David Frank, Green Ranger one. And then, I got some of my favorites. I got move the mic here. Matt Cardona, got Swerve and Keith Lee. So I've been lucky. I've been lucky.
I have some crazy Keith Lee stories. However, the only issue, I have to stand for them. I cannot tell them sitting down, so they'll have to wait for another time.
Yeah, we'll
Plus,
have
the
to
the
wait.
main star of them is not here. But if you ever meet Aaron Wade, ask him about his time with Keith Lee.
the one time I got to meet him was after a show for Sammy Callahan's promotion, Wrestling Revolver.
Revolver, yeah.
And him and Swerve were still the AEW tag champs at the time. And very soft spoken. But Swerve, especially with how he was he was already showing little bits when I met him, obviously on camera, but especially that Hangman feud.
Mm-hmm.
One sadistic son of a bitch. But when you talk to him off camera, one of the absolute nicest dudes I've ever met.
So I actually found Swerve as a wrestler. Because like I kind of told you, I got into pro wrestling a little bit later than most people.
It happens.
Yeah, so I had started, started training, started going around to shows, and we have a local one called NGW here in Knoxville.
Okay.
And at the time, Swerve was the champion. So I started like getting to see him a lot. And it was right before the first run when he got signed with the Fed. Um, so a lot of it was the more TV-esque, TV-ready wrestling that he was doing. And then I started like looking at old stuff and found CCW, and I'm like, holy crap! No, this where was this? I didn't get this while I was watching you.
Yeah, I got started on him with when he was Kill Shot in Lucha Underground. And then I got, to watching the CZW stuff, and I'm like, oh my God. Okay, I like this.
Yeah, no, I wandered my way into CZW. He was kind of like the hook into it, and then I started watching people like Matt Tremont and Danny Havoc, and then I was like, deathmatch wrestling. This is my second love.
Oh, man, I'm a huge fan of it myself. I mean, I got signed Alex Colon kick pads that I'm waiting to get displayed. I actually had him on, and he sold them to me after we recorded. I got for the promotion that's coming back, Mid Death Pro. I got uh, half a signed door, like the door, half a door signed by everybody on. Like I won it somehow. And
So
John Wayne Murdoch, wrestling buddy behind me. Like I display my deathmatch stuff proudly.
it's always one of my favorite things at the bar shows is we always kind of, because it's a bar show, so we can get away with a little bit more. We always try to have like one door spot or something. And it's
Yeah.
hilarious because after the match, these kids just run up to the ring and start just tearing pieces off and collecting them. And then they'll like run around the entire building like it's a collect them all like sticker book thing, just trying to get signatures from the wrestlers on this door. I'm like, dog, this was like 4 matches after me. I don't know. There was a door? What?
The one bar show that I went to, let's just say I was thankful. I make this joke every now and then when I talk to somebody that's been in the, reffing or being in death matches. I was thankful that I was wearing closed-toed shoes because that metal connector end of a light tube during one of the matches flew off and hit me in the foot.
I make
Nice.
the joke all the time. As a deathmatch ref, like one of your biggest concerns is the safety of the workers, right? And
Oh yeah,
obviously that includes like those metal ends. Those can mess you up if they're left in the rings to land on.
Oh yeah.
So I make the joke all the time with like photographers and ring crew or cameramen, fans that even have just bought a front row ticket. I'm like, yo, you bought a front row. You're in the splash zone. I'm flinging. I am not looking at where you are. My concern of the two people that are deciding they're going to throw themselves into the glass. You can move when you see my arm.
Oh yeah. I've been front row for a promotion that held. I described the match as war games without the cage. Like they literally had people handcuffed to different parts of the ring, and as they get in, they'd have a weapon with them. And one guy got hit with a bundle of light tubes, and then before I know it, he's coming right near me. He gets hit, gets sent spinning, and then I get blood all over my hands, on my phone, on my shirt. And I was just sitting there just chuckling. I'm like, I'm loving this.
It's always funny when I go to the back of the specifically the H2O building, and I'll have like little bits of blood from the wrestlers on me, especially if I have to like help one to the back or anything.
Yeah.
And the nurses that are back there are like, is that your blood or their blood? And I'll have to like wipe down myself real quick, look, and I'm like, I ain't cut yet. I'll check with you next match.
Now, curious though, you're not just a ref, so I imagine you've had times where, it is your own blood.
Yeah, no, yeah, especially there's been a few times reffing where like there will be small cuts, obviously.
Yeah.
Kind of have to get over that. Or that like, when the gloves start to wear down, sometimes I'll go to smack and I'm like, and there's a piece of glass jabbed in my finger. This is fantastically how I wanted to spend my rest of my day.
I can
Especially because
imagine.
a lot of the time I'm like, I gotta go. Break this thing off. We're done.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially as a wrestler, me and Matt make this joke a lot. I actually said this on another podcast recently of sometimes you just gotta bleed. Um,
Sometimes.
sometimes you just want to bleed. It lets you start seeing your own blood and you're like, this feels so much better. I feel relieved in a sense.
Oddly enough, not in wrestling, but I've had times where people have been like, especially in the Navy on my ship, there'd be times where I'd like bonk my head on something, and then I just go along with my day, and then sometime later they'd be like, dude, you're bleeding. And I just go, like, your head. I just go, oh,
Oh, I
But
so as Kody Manhorn, I use a running headbutt as a finish. Um, so I make the joke all the time, especially if you're talking about up here. I don't even feel that, y'all. It's calloused over, okay? Like if I ever lose my hair, there's gonna be spots on my head, okay?
oh yeah, no, held those times with mine. Like they'd be like, "Oh, didn't it hurt?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, but I didn't know it was bleeding until you
Yeah.
pointed it out." So yeah, no, I get that, especially with a move like that. It kind of the tolerance builds up after a while, I'd imagine.
Yeah, we actually Wade and I did one spot at a bar show for TWE where so he's a shoot fifth degree black belt. So he was doing a Taekwondo demonstration, and I was holding the boards for him. And
Oh,
to build into our match, I started just moving the board around. I'm like, no, you got to think on your feet. Come on, buddy. So as we progress, that breaks down. We start doing a floor is lava match. So we're on
oh
this like
God.
stage on the bar and we have to try to knock the other one off. And to go into my comeback, he just takes the board and smashes it over my head. I'm like, I don't feel that, dog, and just start lighting him up. Well, we did a
That's
similar
fun.
spot at H2O where he did like his flying chop off the top to my head. I'm like, nah. And there was a fan in the crowd like, what is he, Samoan? I was like, pretty close. From
And it's
the
weird how
duration of this thing, I'm getting there.
yeah, like hell, good lord, I'm wanting to say Umaga was one that I hear with the Samoans that had the somewhat hard head.
Yeah.
Like you could just hit him really hard with something on the head, and he just like,
Yeah,
God rest his soul.
hey, Umaga was one of my other favorites. I love that.
Oh God, like I remember, I wanted to say I didn't actually get to go to this show, but I'm wanting to say it was a Extreme Rules that they actually had in San Diego, him against Jeff Hardy. And that was, I remember watching it after the fact. I'm like, God damn it, why couldn't I have been there? Because I've yet to actually go to a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think
It's on my
I went
list.
I went with a friend to that 2008 Armageddon. Like I said, it was in Buffalo. That's the reason Jeff Hardy will always be one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I fell in love with him as a kid, and I had that special moment, won the title in my city in front of me. So, but outside of that, I mean, you're talking almost 20 years ago now. So
Yeah.
it's I've not gotten that experience to actually physically go to a pay-per-view. Everyone kept telling me I needed to try to make it to Mania um this past while I was up in Jersey, and I was like, yo, I've been at wrestling for almost 2 weeks straight. I had basically lived wrestling week I had a 1 week break between when I got back from the UK and Mania week. I don't want to think about wrestling anymore. I want to just drive home. Because we also had like one of our student shows at TWE that next
Mm,
Monday. So I was like, I want to just not for a little bit.
yeah, get that little bit of a break. Yeah, I can totally understand. But you know what, you how before we go into my categories here that I got two ones. You brought up something 2000. I guess I spaced off 2008 Armageddon. The
Yep.
last pay per view they held here in Omaha, Nebraska was actually 2008 Judgment Day.
Yeah, that was the Jericho one, if I remember right? Poster?
I'm wanting to say so. I'm wanting to say it also had Triple H versus Randy Orton in a cage.
I think so. I think so.
That was shortly before I left for boot camp. Like it was like right before. And oh god, yeah, god dang. Now I'm feeling even older because I didn't realize that was
They pointed
20
out that
years ago.
that was 16 years ago now. Yeah.
16. God damn. Wow. Jeez. And that's how long it's been since they've held a pay-per-view here. They come by it seems like once or twice a year now for like Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah.
But well, hell, we'll take that over the way it used to be, where it was like every other year for a house show.
So Knoxville will usually get one or two house shows and then one show, Raw or SmackDown a year. We don't really, I don't know if there's ever that I can, at least in my lifetime, a pay-per-view in Knoxville, especially since I moved here. Mostly because why go to Knoxville when you can go 3 hours west of me and you're in Nashville?
Makes sense. Yeah, we have the same thing with the one way to Denver or Kansas City or St. Louis. Same sort of situation, which bums me out a little bit, but hell, maybe one of these days.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, the Titans can get this deal finished on the new stadium, so that way Mania can just be 3 hours from my house. So
Yeah, because I hear they're wanting to avoid outdoor stadiums.
yes, mostly because they ran into a bunch of logistical issues when they did the MetLife Stadium. Who would have guessed? That and the general the reason that I know this because I originally studied sports management in college. The reason that they're rebuilding the stadium is they want a Super Bowl bid, and the general rule of thumb for the NFL is they actually kind of want WrestleMania to run these newer stadiums. Like example, the Vegas ones that originally when it was supposed to be in the new LA stadium, they want Mania to be the test run for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and that's oh god, you just reminded me. The whole thing, the past I don't know how many years of Mania being rumored to be going to Minneapolis, and then some other town always ends up getting it. And
It was
I
supposed to be
bet,
this year. Supposed to be this year.
well, now they're saying that, but Vegas is a front runner. So I'm like, motherfucker, not again. Because I was actually at the New Year's Eve Packers Vikings game this last New Year's Eve, and man, that place is nice.
Yeah.
That place is like that would be a good place for a Mania. I'm just saying. Crossing my fingers because that would be a hell of a lot quicker of a trip for me than Vegas or some of these other places.
It'd be my first time in Minnesota ever, even as like a person, let alone as a wrestler. So I I've had this like really, like I said, I was a really weird kid in middle school. I had this weird obsession with Minnesota. So whenever I would like do creative wrestlers, all of my creative wrestlers were from Minnesota for whatever reason. So I'm like, yo, please let me have a Mania in Minnesota.
And
Just one
hell,
time.
for the somewhat weird nerdy people, hell, the Mall of America, they got a Toys R Us, and one of my other pops I got up there is of the Toys R Us mascot.
You have the giraffe.
Yes,
I love this.
man, I knew when I was going up there, I'm like, I have to go to Toys R Us. I don't care where else I go. That is one spot. And then I'm like, okay, I have to get something. And we're getting like, okay, we got to go. So I'm like, oh, there's one of those. I'll take that. Oh, God, where is it? I also collect souvenir shot glasses. And being a Dr. Pepper fiend, I got a Dr. Pepper one from the Bubba Gump Shrimp Restaurant.
Nice. I love Dr. Pepper.
Oh,
Mostly because it was the only thing I was basically allowed to drink in Dallas when I was stationed there.
yeah, that is around pretty much close to where it was, I guess, invented and all that.
Yeah. Nope. I got a lot of weird looks whenever I'd order anything but a Dr. Pepper, especially at Whataburger.
Oh God. Oh man, what a burger. Okay, I'm sorry. I can, and we're going on all these tangents that I'm like, oh my God, memories. All right, so I got two categories. The first one's a bit of a name game. where I mean, like I try to theme it towards the guest as much as possible. So I got a few names. I give you the name, you give me some quick thoughts on the person. A couple of these are people that have actually been on the show, and then I got a couple wild cards. First one, I'm in the process of working with him on a couple stuff. I actually got to get back to him on it. But I saw, you having done stuff with New South. Carmen Michael.
Garmin's actually one of my favorite people in all production of independent wrestling.
Oh, yeah. No, solid dude. I got nothing but great things to say about him.
All of my graphics, outside of the ones that I make myself, but like the official booking graphic stuff of that, it's always Carmen. I'm actually working with him right now to try to do like a commercial kind of thing for our Crash Course shows on Mondays.
Nice. I need to, like I said, I need to get back to him because there's some stuff I'm wanting to do with him, but I got to get like a halfway decent picture to actually get him to use. So
Right, yeah,
it's working with him and a photographer up here that is like trying to coordinate
the hardest part about making graphics, I swear, it's getting photographers to give me pictures in a decent time frame. I love the photographers I work with, but sometimes I'm like, all right, it's been 1 month, dude. I've gotten 3 new tattoos since you took this.
Oh, you know what? And the one that the photographer I'm gonna work with, I've got nothing but great things to say about him. And he literally is giving me a discount because I'm not doing like a full blown photo shoot. I'm just like, what would it take for a couple pictures? And he gave me a price and said, give my photography a shout out on the show. And I'm like, done. So
I don't know who the guy is, but I will say, because you're in the Iowa area, right?
Nebraska, Iowa area. Yeah.
All right, I got a real quick shout out my guy, Glassheart Media, Dan Moore, like one of my best friends, and he also sponsors all my t-shirts. So I'm obligated to say something.
Hey,
Shout out
nothing
my
wrong
boy.
with that.
Shout out my boy.
Oh yeah. All right. Now next one. I actually got to talk to him without the face paint. But man, with the face paint, he is one spooky son of a bitch. The Rev.
Another one of the smartest brains in wrestling.
Oh, dude, totally.
So Kody Manhorn has in really the past year, almost to the date, taken a very big character change. Used to do a very goofy comedy. I was a gym coach from the 80s kind of thing. And a lot of like figuring out what the new look was, what the new move sets were, how to be a more serious wrestler and being taken seriously while still being, decent at wrestling. The Rev helped a lot with. He is one of the best minds when it comes to storytelling and character aspects. Like this guy used to produce for Wildside. That you can't get better than that here in this area. So,
oh hell, and all this stuff that he's doing with all those guys in the Coven of the Goat, and
yeah,
like that whole thing. Like, okay, uniqueness in professional wrestling is kind of few and far between. I mean, there's stuff that, despite that, is still great. I'm not taken away from it. But the stuff with the Coven of the Goat is like some very unique, like very spooky, intimidating, and I normally am not into that, but god damn it, they hooked me in.
one of my favorite things, like, so a lot of people, like, just to talk up Dan more, a lot of people know TWE is owned by Jaden Newman. They also know that Dylan Hales, another one of the really smartest men in all of wrestling, and he would hate that I'm saying that. He has a very heavy hand when it comes to the booking aspect of things. Dan also plays a major heavy role for TWE and it doesn't get talked about much as enough, as far as the amount he puts into storytelling with us, helping us develop characters, helping us on Monday nights, giving us critiques and stuff. He is definitely like one of the unsung heroes of how TWE has gotten to where it is right now. So yeah, nothing but respect for Dan.
Definitely. Now, a couple of the wild cards, but I know, especially with having gone up to do all that stuff at the H2O Center. You've been around these two. They've both been on the show. One of them I released during Mania Week. We'll start off with him. My favorite Juggalo, Alex Stretch.
I love Stretch. I gotta shout out the Bocce Boys if we're talking about the Juggalos. Jeez. Stretch is. There's not many people in deathmatch wrestling that I just look at a lot of the time and I'm like, they're just happy. A lot of the time, especially after matches, we're miserable. Even as a ref, I'm like, I hate wrestling. I'm done. Where's the bar? Like, that's my next thought.
Yeah.
But Stretch is just like happy to be there. And he looks at me and it changed my mindset with a lot of things because I am young. I can get reckless with things I do in the ring as far as like ideas. And he looked and said, I can have all the stupid ideas I want as long as I'm willing to take it. And I'm like, hell yeah, drop me on my head. Let's go, guys. Now you can't complain. No, not to that extent. Please be safe with your partners. But,
oh, yeah, no, obviously.
No, before that gets taken out of context. But
oh, yeah. We don't
I
want
just
that.
love Stretch. There's such a passion for wrestling. There's just a joy of being alive. And I'm like, hell yeah, dude. I don't listen to this kind of music, but you have me down to clown. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider myself a juggalo, but the ones that I've met, especially him, some of the most positive, upbeat, accepting people I've ever met. So while I might not consider myself one, I've got nothing but respect for them. And good Lord, you watch one of his matches, it becomes very evident why one of his favorite wrestlers was Sabu.
Okay, if you're a deathmatch wrestler, we all know one of your favorite wrestlers was Sabu. We're all stealing his move at some point.
And he's very much like, you don't even have to talk to him to be like, you just see it.
Yeah.
And I love it. He is, good Lord. Oh God, what was it? Thing was Monday Night Death, or maybe it was Hustle Cup. I can't remember which one. But there was a spot where him and a guy are going off the ring and supposed to go through a table.
That was Hustle Cup.
Hustle Cup. Yes.
That was him versus Craig.
And like the part, there's like that one part that broke, but then he's just hanging off of it. And I'm like, somebody check to make sure he's not dead.
Yeah, Peace, Love, and Deathmatch wrestled the Vic Craig. And who was Vic's partner? I can't remember. It wasn't Joel, was it?
I'm wanting to say it was.
I think it was on that show.
Yeah, because I do remember
there was a match where Joel had a. Yeah, I remember it now. Yeah, that was that one.
And you know what? Speaking of Joel, I've actually got to meet him. Cool dude. I actually got a story in my next category involving him. But before we get to that, last but not least, for the name game, I got one or two people here. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to do. You know what? We've already talked about one member of Peace, Love, Deathmatch. We're going to go with the other one because I've had him on too. Anthrax.
I love Anthrax, but I always like don't notice Anthrax until it's like, dude, we're like 30 minutes into the like I always miss him when he walks in. I'm like, when did you get here? He is such a quiet person in the back.
That is the thing people don't realize with me, and I guess him and I have that in common. I can be one of those that like I can be very quiet, and then all of a sudden like I get pumped up, and then it's like, oh, you're here, okay.
Yeah, no, yeah, he's very very quiet when he's in the back. He has this mentality that I think a lot of us do share as far as like, hey, when I first show up to a show, that's me clocking into my job. That's the equivalent of it. Till I'm done, that's what I'm here to focus on. I mean, I'm not gonna say like, be cordial in the back. No, but I'm not gonna be as out there as I am right now, obviously, if I haven't finished my job for the day.
Oh yeah.
But I will say Anthrax is also like one of the first people that ever gave me real confidence as a deathmatch ref. Um, because it was so Casey Kirk was the first one. Because she approached me and she's like, "Hey, you're one of the best." And this was one of my first times refing for her. I had only recently started working with ICW. She's like, "You're one of my favorite refs I've ever worked with." All because I did this little thing where I was like, "Hey," I was go down, check on her, talking to her, and then I'd see out of like while she's selling towards me, I saw at the corner of my eye, oh, they're grabbing a bundle of light tubes. I'm like, "Hey, light tubes are coming next. They got the bundle already." And I would just communicate that littlest thing. She's like, "No one's ever done that to me. No one's ever told me that a gimmick is coming." And then Anthrax also very much put me over as far as um, just getting the back. It was one of my first times working outside of ICW for Deathmatch Company. He was just, I prefer you every time I wrestle. You actually care about trying to keep us safe. And a lot of the time, people just want to ref death matches because they want to say they ref a death match. They just want to say, "Oh, I do this. This is cool." It's like, yo, we have a very intense job, and I need you to focus.
And it can be hard sometimes with all the craziness going on. So when you got
I
people of your caliber, I know, oh God,
I refed a match that had 700 light tubes. That's a US record,
the,
so I
oh
get
God,
it.
you were that one.
I was in that match.
Nice. The other one, death match, what H2O, Peacock ref Jimmy Deacon.
Yeah,
I got nothing but love for him.
yeah, I've worked with him a lot. Obviously, was really able to kind of let him get a couple chances on the uncharted territory that we did at the H2O Center. And that has spawned into a pretty good working relationship with him at the H2O Center. So I'm really proud
Nice.
of where he's came from.
Definitely, he's doing a
Especially
very good.
considering where I met him. I can't say it; it would probably incriminate us all. But Jamie, if you're watching, you've came a long way, buddy.
All right. Now, my random questions. Some might be wrestling related, some might not be, some might have absolutely nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far. So that's why they're random. I give you the question, you give me first answer that pops into your head.
This is the dangerous
First
place to
one,
go.
one that this is where when I get my little spiel that it involves my story with Joel Bateman. Craziest in match moment for you, whether it be one from, you know what, hell, if you want to name one from like the wrestling side of things and then one from, you were in there the referee for the match.
Craziest wrestling has to be actually what I wrestled Matt this last time because we're talking through I'm having to call to Matt Tremont the next spot while we're doing the tube exchange. And then we finally get done. I'm like, oh, thank God. And then I look up and he has picked up the box of light tubes in a tube exchange. And I immediately know what the fuck's about to happen. And he just chucks the entire thing. So I just at one point eat the entire box, and I'm alive. I don't know how, but craziest. There's a lot as a wrestler, as a ref that I have seen. Mostly because I've ref too many Billy Starks match, and that girl does not care about her body.
She, man, talk about her, man. Somebody that such a young age is already accomplishing so goddamn much. And man, I was lucky enough to have her on, and I've got to meet her in person at Revolver again. But yeah, some of the stuff that you can see her pulling off, man, is exciting to watch. But then, like the times where, hell, recently there was that guy on the chair, and then he moves, and that she takes that nasty.
That actually is an older spot because I was in the building for that show.
I just saw the video of it for some
Yeah,
reason.
yeah, it got brought back up because a lot of people hated at it at first, and I did find it hilarious because a lot of the time, my buddy O'Shea Edwards, he has a saying when it comes to things like that of you don't see Nike responding to tweets. So like, I have no reason to say anything. It doesn't do me any good. It just actually helps out the guy who's posting this stupid thought. Um, So I didn't say anything, but like one said, "Oh, how's that going for you now?" I'm like, "Well, she's Ring of Honor Women's Television Champion, the first. She's 18-year-old and under a contract, so I think it's going pretty freaking good for
I would say so. I
her."
think she's doing pretty damn well for herself.
I will actually say she is probably the craziest spot I have seen live in a ring. Um, as a ref, not that specific spot because I was not the ref for that match. But she did a spot pretty similar with Adam Priest at the last up show, the one that we had in like the bowling alley gimmick. I can't remember exactly what the spot, but she spills to the floor. And shout out to my boy RIP SBO. He had given me a little trick when it came to selling a Billy Starks match, and that's that you don't look at anybody in the crowd specifically, or you don't. This is one of my biggest pet peeves, refs. If you're watching this, never throw up a soft axe. Please protect that. That's the one thing we have to actually protect people's safety. But
Yeah.
it drives me insane when I see it and I find out that it's a work later. I just want to punch everyone involved. But the
Yeah.
way you sell a Billy Starks, because especially when she was younger, Mouse and Rebecca were always with her, and you just find Rebecca, not Mouse. Mouse doesn't care; he's an asshole. But find Rebecca, and you just look at her, and suddenly she's sold that this is real. And as soon as Mom thinks it's real, the entire crowd just buys that. Oh my gosh, she's hurt. But I pull off that sell. She takes this nasty spill. I actually get a message from a podcast in the UK, and he's like, "Hey man, I just wanted to let you know you killed it here. You were so fast to get out there." And I'm like, "Yeah," because I really thought one of my best friends just died. So, um, and it's hard to tell with Billy because she does not like to tell her refs when she's hurt. She likes to just sit there and scream. And I've gotten to the point where it's the girl who cried wolf, and I'm like, "Yeah, get up. I don't buy it anymore." And then she
Yeah.
starts laughing on the cell, and I'm like, "Haha, I got you."
Yeah. Oh man, she's nuts. I know my thing with Joel Bateman, my first ever legit death match I ever got to see was actually him versus Jake Christ at Revolver. And man, it started off nuts enough because the match before it was a multi-person Monsters Ball match. So there was shit already all throughout the ring. People going in trying to clear it out for, Jake and Joel. Before I know it, Jake's rolling in there. He's like, fuck it, leave it, let's go. And it ends by them 4 folding chairs, 2 panes of glass, and then I see his boy Bobby rolling in. And I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? He pulls out a thing of lighter fluid from his pocket and they light the glass on fire. I was third row. I'm like, I'm up, my jaw on the floor. And I'm like, and then there's been other times where, both of the matches that I got to see with the second gear crew in them, both of them ended up at some point Matthew Justice jumping off a scaffold and
brand.
light tubes, all sorts of shit. I've actually joked with both Matthew Justice and Manders that their matches might as well be sponsored by Home Depot. All the crazy shit getting thrown around in there.
Yep.
So yeah.
You
now
glass being set on fire. I've actually you were in the third row. I had to hold it at one point.
Oh God.
We had Bam Sullivan wrestling Brandon Kirk at the H2O Center for the Danny Havoc Hardcore World Title.
Okay.
And the only way they were gonna get it, me and Papa Giorgio have to slide in, hold this pane that's on 2 chairs, that's on a table that's on 2 chairs, or on a door, and they spray it down, and we have to light it.
Oh God.
And so then Brandon gets thrown through it, and he doesn't break it, he just bounces because it starts to slide right as he hits it. and next thing you know, he's on fire. So I have to immediately turn, grab water, start dousing him.
Oh God. That
Yeah.
actually reminds me of one other before we get on to the next question. My other crazy moment was actually at that bar show. They go outside for a while. There's like a freaking they grab two chairs. They put a door on top of the chairs. There's this little ledge up top above the spot. One guy, obviously puts the guy on the door. He goes, climbs up on the ledge. As he jumps off, the other guy on the door rolls off the door. The door goes with him, and he lands gut first on the door.
Oh, ah.
Yeah,
No, I'll pass,
that
pass.
yeah. Somewhere on my show's TikTok page, I have footage of that. It was nuts. All right. Next up, having experienced reffing death matches and the whole light tube spot, this leads me to a question that I've asked a lot of people. What is a weapon you would choose to avoid being used on you in a match if you had the choice?
Barbed wire.
Okay.
Immediately. One, I dealt with it for 7 years. I'm good. I'll pass. Two, I have hair. A lot
So
of it.
they can get.
I don't want to do of it. That and the only other one, like, I actually had this conversation with Matt. Matt was the only one who I'd be like, I will do barbed wire for you. So I guess the real answer would be a Kenzon because
Oh
again,
God,
hair.
I've seen.
Yeah, unless you are bald, a Kenzon, it doesn't matter. It's just gonna get stuck in my hair. You're actually gonna have a harder time driving it into my head probably than you would normally, and I'm just gonna have all I'll get is the blood.
Yeah, and I've seen footage of people having to get those things pulled out of their heads, and
Yeah, if you put them in right, you have to use a pair of pliers. There's a
yeah,
really cool
that,
picture. There's a really cool picture of my buddy Ryan, who used to be the old weapons master for ICW, of him over Matt Tremont with the pliers, and Matt's just sitting there all stoically while this guy's just pulling this out of his head.
I would literally have to have people holding me down.
Yeah, Matt doesn't even move when it happens.
That is just not like wow. Okay, now I don't know why I ended up having this question on here, but I think I was just eating a few of these and it got me wondering. Favorite Girl Scout cookie?
Oh, this has recently changed. It used to be tagalongs, but now it's the samosas. Um,
Okay, I don't
those have
think
been
I've
my
had.
new. They're the caramel ones with
Oh,
the chocolate, yeah, the swirl on there. Um,
oh,
those
that
are my
does
new
sound.
favorite. I'm not even a caramel guy. I just took a bite of one time and I was like, I like this. I want more.
My favorites are between the Thin Mints and the whatever they call those chocolate covered peanut butter ones.
Those are the tagalongs.
Those are the tagalongs. Okay, they're
Yeah,
called something.
I think they're rebranded now as like peanut butter patties or something like that.
That's what they are here.
Yeah, I think they've changed them recently because they were trying to get away from like the names and just wanted them to call what they are.
Yeah.
But I am stuck in my ways and I'm gonna keep calling them tagalongs.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. To me, like I'm such a fan of peanut butter cups that it's like those to me are just like peanut butter cups in cookie form.
Yeah, that's where they get really dangerous for me because at least like the other nice thing, this samosas, I can just kind of eat like I'll eat a row of those and I feel fine. I'm good. Again, there's enough caramel that it's a sugar overload for me. The tagalongs, I will just eat and eat and eat, and I'll be like, and there's the box. It's been 30 minutes, guys.
I am the same way with those. Oh my god. Okay. Now, I would feel weird with a name of a show like I have if I did not have this question in here. Favorite drink, whether it be alcoholic or non, or hell, one of each.
Okay, so non-alcoholic. It's probably still just a classic Coke. in a can. Those are always my favorite. Um, Alcoholic, it is a Strongbow dark fruit. I only can ever get them when I'm in England. They are, by God, my favorite drink. I have full intentions of moving there in 2026, so I'll have plenty of them. Um,
Hey, I might have to have you send me some of those because I've had other Strongbow ones. Just like I guess you kind of mentioned why I've never been able to find that flavor
yeah,
because
so Strongbow is a British brewery, so they have their big ones that they'll have at most bars, or they'll have the regular cider and then the dark fruit ale
yeah,
or
I
dark fruit
think
cider.
I definitely had the cider one.
Yeah, the dark fruit just it hits.
Oh man, and that
My
sounds
favorite,
like it would
yeah,
be right up my alley too.
my favorite thing about over there is like most of the drinks I can't even tell that there's alcohol in them, but they have such a high quality that I'm like that I get drunk quick and I don't feel it the next day. I'm like, this is just nice.
That sounds epic.
Yes.
That sounds absolutely epic because there's I'm mostly a beer guy, but I do enjoy. I'm more, outside of that. I'm like a whiskey tequila
Hmm.
guy. I've had some tequilas that like you put that in a margarita. You better be careful of only having maybe two, because any more than that, because you can barely. It's so smooth you can barely tell there's any fucking alcohol in the fucking thing.
We went to a club. I am not a big liquor guy. I just know myself that if I do liquor, I'm usually destroyed the next day. I get drunk way quicker than I intend. But we went to one club and was talking up some girls. So I'm like, all right, time to buy some shots. So I buy everyone we're with some tequila shots. I forget that Jaden Newman, who is with me, does not drink. So I end up having to do his. One of the girls comes back and is like, oh, I don't do tequila specifically. And I'm like, all right. So I ended up taking three of these. So I'm at a bad spot. I wake up the next day, I'm not hungover. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but I love it.
Yeah, and that's why part of what you're saying there is kind of why I switched up from the way I originally worded that question because I know there's plenty of people out there that, for one reason or another, don't drink, whether it be medical stuff, whether it be, they're in recovery, whatever it might be. So, like, I always try to be respectful of that and be like, okay, we'll put in a non alcoholic option. So that way, if they don't, they can at least name that.
Yeah, so I get it.
Because, yeah, I've had quite a few.
Two of my
And
closest friends are Aaron Wade and Jaden Newman. Both of them are straight edge, have been their entire lives. So
I,
I
all
Dylan Hales even.
oh yeah, and you know what? All the respect in the world for those that can do that. Is
Oh,
it hell?
they're stronger than me when it comes to that regard. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, and hell, it's like it takes a lot of. That's why it's so hard for a lot of alcoholics to, you know, to quit because it takes a lot of willpower to. If you don't want to drink, but it's there, it's not always so easy to just not do it. So if those that straight edge and that can do it, all the respect in the world for them.
Reach.
All right. Last but not least here, best advice you have for anybody wanting to get into wrestling.
I think I already said it. Embraces suck. Um,
Okay, you know what? That same with the whole military mentality that say that all the time, but
yeah,
it
no,
would very well fit right along with wrestling.
I think it's one of my biggest things. We talk a lot at TWE, like the I and everyone they're a joke a lot of the times, the term, but 40 miler, that's a real thing. And some people that is their goal. They just want to wrestle in front of their family one or two times and say, hey, this is cool. Have some stories to tell the kids. And if that's their goal, that's fine. But O'Shea made a really good tweet about it the other day of don't think you're the hottest shit in the world then. Because there's definitely people that have been doing this for 20 years that have never wrestled outside of 40 miles of their house. Well, I promise I've done this for 6 now, and I've done plenty more than you. I've gone across the entire planet with professional wrestling. I like to think I probably have picked some things up along the way. But I really would just again, if somebody getting in that wants to do this and go hard with it, embrace the suck. You're gonna have people that are gonna say, "Well, how much money did you lose that weekend?" And to them, I say, "Yeah, how many memories did you create that weekend, sitting on your couch doing nothing?"
Exactly.
Because I got to go to. Did I lose money going to the UK? Yeah, yeah, I lost a lot of it. I flew across the country, but I also took a chance on myself. I made some connections with some very big shows, which some things may or may not be coming up with. I already have a second tour planned in September this year.
Nice.
Um, but I talked to Strugs about this. I took an investment on myself. I said I'm willing to lose now. An old saying I used to have was I'm willing to eat shit now so I can eat steak later.
Mm,
Um, just go after it. Don't
Yeah,
let anybody tell you, oh, you shouldn't do it because of X. Do it because you want to and be willing to lose.
yeah. No, and that I've definitely had to go through a little bit of that with even the podcast.
Oh,
You
I
know,
get it. I
starts.
stream on Twitch, dude. I lose every freaking week.
Oh God, like I started out, and I love getting to highlight local people local in me when I can. But I started thinking, man, I'm gonna run out of people here sooner or later.
Yeah.
So then I actually, you know what? I remember specifically it was the SATs. I reached out to them because they liked something of mine on Twitter, and I'm like, holy, this might be a long shot, but yeah. And then it just snowballed from there, and now I'm sitting at 322 subscribers on YouTube. When I started, I had maybe 20, and I actually just the other day passed 100,000 views, and I
Nice.
am sitting at like 101,580 something as of right now.
Hell yeah. The that brought up something in my head, but I think it's gone.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah. ADHD. Oh, actually, yeah, mental health. So I'm a really big advocate for mental health stuff.
oh, same,
I
same.
I like to talk about it a lot on Twitter. Because I'm very big about just be open about it.
Oh
But
yeah,
you said taking a chance, and this is the thing I had to personally work on with my therapist. I suffer from social anxiety since I was like 6 years old. Um, but part of it was just questioning what that underlining fear was of, okay, so you don't want to talk to somebody. Why don't you want to talk to them? What do you think's going to happen? Okay, so what if they do that? And it goes into like what you're saying, and that goes into wrestling too. Okay, so maybe you're not good enough to be on this show that you want to be on. We'll just call it the WWE for a second. Okay, you
yeah,
don't want to put in that recruit application. Okay, so what's going to happen if you do and they say no? I promise you, WWE is not going to sit there and be like, "Oh, we're going to type out this longly winded email about how you're just bad at wrestling." They're not going to ruin your life over that.
yeah,
You're just never going to get an email back. That's the worst that happens to you. Or same thing with emailing SAT. Do you want to be on the podcast? No, worse they'll probably saying because they're really good guys. Oh, we're just not available right now. Same thing with any wrestling booking though. Hey, that's just not a spot right now. Or you're left on red. Oh well, my best friend leaves me on red every day. Doesn't hurt my feelings.
I've definitely had that, and yeah, like hell, the it comes down to somebody brought this up on a episode a while back. The answer is always no if you don't ask.
Hey, what's the Wayne Gretzky quote? And it's
Uh,
100% of the shots you never take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott, Wayne Gretzky.
yes. God. Oh, office reference. Gotta love it.
Oh, did you see where Wayne Gretzky quoted it at the playoffs at one of the
You know what? I don't think I did.
yeah, so there's a picture where he has the side with the Stanley Cup and it's Wayne Gretzky quoting Michael Scott quoting Wayne Gretzky. And I'm
Oh
like,
my
this
God.
is great. I need someone to get Michael Scott on like a Saturday Night Live so we can quote Wayne Gretzky and we can keep this train going.
Oh, Michael Scott. quoting Wayne Gretzky, quoting Michael
Michael
Scott,
Scott quoting Wayne Gretzky.
and then just keep it going. Keep it going.
Let's
Oh
go,
my
guys.
God.
Let's go.
Yeah. Oh man, now I want that. Now
Great
I want
idea.
it. All right. Well, before we go, where can people find you social media wise? So if they don't already have their eyes on you, they can go ahead and get them there.
Social media wise, all my handles are pretty straightforward. I'm at Ref Shiny Shoes, or I'm at Kody Manhorn if you want to follow the wrestling persona. That is Kody with a K.
Kody with a K.
Yep, I am specifically did that so I'm the only one in the world. And then as well as I have to plug myself on Twitch. You can find me I alternate Mondays and Tuesdays over on twitch.tv/Ref Shiny Shoes.
Definitely, we'll get all of that in the description. But
hell yeah,
thank you again for taking the time to talk to me tonight. It has been a pleasure to finally get this one done.
hell yeah.
I know you're quite the busy person. I know, good Lord, it always amazes me how quickly my schedules fill up every month. So it was nice to finally get to pick your brain. And I always love getting to talk to people that I also have that military veteran thing in common with. So that was fun as well. But anyways, I think I can hear my dog rumbling around upstairs. So
yeah, my phone's been blowing up. I think Action finally announced whatever big match Matt Griffin said he was going to give me. So I got to figure out what that was.
Well, yeah, I will let you get to that.
All right. I appreciate it, man. You take care.